Mayor Herrera, I presume. I've been calling everybody by that. So yeah.
Hello, everybody.
Great. So we have video for the rest of our members who aren't here, and this, and basically 3 minutes to say hello and whatever you want to say about the arts, and then Q&A for the rest of the time.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, welcome. I'm City Attorney Dennis Herrera, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to come and speak with you a little bit today about what I think is at stake in this election and how important I think the arts are to us having an honest conversation about what's at stake in this election. I happen to believe that this is the most important mayor's race that we have had in 20 years, and the most important mayor's race that we are going to have for the next 20, because of the challenges and opportunities that we have before us. I think it is a time of tremendous opportunity in San Francisco. If you look at our population increase, young people, empty nesters coming back to San Francisco, despite what we are seeing, the economic challenges that we see going on across this country, people want to be back in San Francisco because we're seeing a reurbanization of America, and at least from my perspective, this gives San Francisco a great opportunity, if we make the right choices in this election, to be a model for what a 21st century American city needs to be. We have an educated workforce, we have relative wealth, we celebrate entrepreneurship and creativity. We sit on the cusp of the Pacific Rim, and we have geographic density. So we have a great opportunity, despite the challenges that we see internationally, domestically, economically, politically, to make San Francisco a model for what a 21st century American city needs to be. But at least in my opinion, being a model 21st century American city means that you have to have a diverse city. You have to make sure that you are creating economic opportunity for folks at every socio-economic place in the ladder. It can't just be like we had last economic boom here in San Francisco, based on real estate speculation and financial speculation that's providing nothing but opportunity for those at the top end of the income ladder. We have to make sure that we are creating economic opportunity for folks at every socioeconomic level, low, middle-income folks as well, so that we keep the socioeconomic diversity of what San Francisco has been all about since its founding more than 150 years ago. That's how we're going to make sure that we have a diverse city that isn't over-gentrified in the Mission or in District 10, Bayview Hunters Point, that we make sure that folks that have historically come here to San Francisco and had the opportunity to celebrate its diversity continue to have that. And at least from my perspective, the arts are a very, very big part of that. And I know that I had the opportunity to talk at your debate about some of my ideas. I talked a little bit about making sure that we streamline the process. So we reinvigorated our neighborhood arts program, that we merged the Art Commission and the Grant for the Arts with the hope that perhaps every member of the Board of Supervisors would have an appointment to a commission that is more integrated into forming arts policy here in the city and county of San Francisco. I believe that as we move forward, making sure that we have a creative, diverse city that celebrates the arts, that makes sure that we're not hijacking the hotel tax fund that we have, that we are making sure that money that is there to support all the arts, large and small organizations, neighborhood arts programs, and broader cultural institutions. That is what is going to make San Francisco be its very best. And why I'm the only candidate that has come out front, you look on my website, you can see it, to talk about creating a Market Street Creative Corridor, which celebrates what the arts can bring in terms of reinvigorating the mid-market area and Market Street, to ensure that we have a broad-based, neighborhood-based coalition that tries to celebrate what the central core of our city should be all about. I think the arts play a vital component in making that happen, and I look forward to taking your questions so we can make sure that San Francisco can be the very best city that it can be. Thanks very much.
So so about the mid-market,
Yep.
What's the status of the redevelopment agency now? I mean, in terms of being funded?
Well, I mean, we're going to have to see what happens with redevelopment. Governor Brown has made it quite clear what he wants to do with redevelopment.
So what's the process that requires?
Well, there was state law that was passed. We are investigating now. There are other opportunities that San Francisco can have with independent districts, that we can create financing mechanisms to help finance things that are in existing redevelopment areas. A lot of the redevelopment areas funding that is already in place for major projects, we have taken the steps forward where we're going to be able to keep that money. But from my perspective, that's not all what redevelopment isn't necessarily the only key, that funding, to making sure that we have the financing that we need to support a broad-based economic revival on mid-market. I mean, we've all seen out there people talking about a Twitter tax, the Twitter tax break. But if we want to make sure that Market Street reaches its full potential, you have to make sure that you're bringing vibrancy to the area. It should be like Las Ramblas in Barcelona or 16th Street in Denver, where you have great pedestrian access, where you have green space, where you have a neighborhood planning process that celebrates vibrancy and bringing people out into the district. You have to have an economic component, but you have to have a people-friendly component and an infrastructure component as well. And I've been quite vocal in saying that I think we have to get beyond, once and for all, debating about whether we need to shut down Market Street. I think we need to shut down Market Street. I think it's good for the arts. I think it's good for public safety. I think it is good for business if we do it in the right way, where we provide good transit access, like I see in 16th Street in Denver, where they have free transit up and down. You bring all that vibrancy together that's pro-business and pro-people, pro-bicycle and pro-green space, you can have a vibrant mid-market area and a vibrant Market Street.
So, America's Cup.
Yes.
Currently, there's not a lot of discussion about an arts component. Speaking directly to your ideas about Market Street, would you support a portion of the mitigation going to actually create a Market Street that's got arts activity and maybe a shuttle system to bring the economic activity out back to the other neighborhoods?
You're speaking with respect to the America's Cup or
Yeah,
just more
well,
generally?
America's Cup could fund it. I mean, it could be actually created in that process because funding is a big issue.
Well, I am in full support of us being having as much interplay as possible to make sure that we are bringing arts funding, not just along Market Street, not just along the waterfront, but using that in a cohesive way to bring support for the arts to the neighborhoods. And we need to make sure that we are having vibrant arts work done in our neighborhoods. Let me just tell you, I live in Dogpatch. And right now, I'm happy to live in an area where we have a great deal, a great and active artist community. And I am very proud. Ann Hatch, who's did the Cap Street project. She's starting a new project right around the corner from my house, next to the new Pacino. It's going to be a great thing. I mean, the more that we can bring and provide city support and private sector support to neighborhood-based arts programs, the more vibrant city we are going to have that celebrates the culture that neighborhood-based arts communities initiatives bring to San Francisco, and something I'm in full support of in terms of looking for that funding and making sure that we are building out on the economic engines that are going to be driving the city, from the America's Cup to anything else that we have along Market Street and elsewhere that's providing vibrancy.
The port is basically saying they are not obligated because of the Burton Act to mitigate into the arts or our art on site, the percent for arts.
I think actually that there is an art component that in the America's Cup agreement, I'm not totally up to speed on it, but that we have to make sure is fulfilled. It's being looked at, I know, in one area in terms of the new cruise ship terminal that's that's proposed, but it has to go beyond that.
Yeah.
And I'm going to make sure that happens.
Okay, great. Thank you.
How about this gentleman? Yeah,
I don't know if you're aware of this, but in recently, or maybe it's been in the last year, the major arts institutions have hired a lobbyist, and that lobbyist is being paid about $90,000 a year, according to the Ethics Commission's website. Now, these people did this before. It was a mistake they made in 1989 that resulted in the Cultural Equity Endowment. Is that they hired a lobbyist and did not register that lobbyist with the city. Do you know if that lobbyist is registered?
I have no idea. I don't know who the lobbyist is. I don't know who's registered. I have no idea.
It's Sam Lowry.
I'm not aware of it.
Well, these people have hired this lobbyist in the past to maintain the status quo. That's the essential reason why I'm almost positive they've hired this lobbyist again. And that status quo is to make sure that grants for the arts remains captured by the major arts institutions, and that the other parts of city government independently exist, so that there is no coordination between these various fiefdoms that have been set up to maintain the demographics of the 1950s. And I was wondering how can that all evolve to the next level?
Well, what I will tell you is if you look at my questionnaire, which I hope you've had the opportunity to read, I'm pretty explicit in terms of my position that we need to have an integrated approach to how we govern, how we fund, and how we manage all of what the arts are about here in San Francisco, particularly with emphasizing that we are going to be supportive of neighborhood-based arts initiatives. That's not to say, and I will tell you that, hey, I have a long and proud history too of working with arts groups from small to large, and I've done some great things with the symphony and large organizations too. But I don't think that we should be pursuing policy that is exclusionary. I think we have to have an integrated approach to how we deal with the arts. From the city's perspective, it has to be integrated with how we deal with our arts task force and grants for the arts, and make sure that we are emphasizing that neighborhood-based arts initiatives are a priority. And that's something that I'm going to be committed to.
Brett, give them a name and Scott, but make them fast.
Oh, I just wanted to make a comment about the America's Cup. You know, a model is the Olympics. There's always an arts festival that's attached to the Olympics.
Yeah,
So
I think
goes back
that's
to
a
the
great
roots.
thing. I mean, I've been to the Olympics. I was in the Olympic. I was at the 1992 Olympics in Barcelona, and it was a great
event.
celebration. Because what is the Olympics about?
Yeah,
Let me
and
just
Los
answer your
Angeles
question.
Too. You know, when the Olympics were in Los Angeles, it was a fantastic.
You are absolutely right. It's not just about a sporting event.
Mm-hmm.
It is about a cultural celebration, of which sports gives you a vehicle to celebrate different cultures, different artistic initiatives, the celebration of people and international cultures, and an arts component to the America's Cup is huge, and particularly if we can celebrate the artistic heritage of San Francisco and what we can offer to the rest of the world. So that is something that I am in full support of, and I will emphasize.
I was wondering if you would be in support of not only just neighborhood-based arts, but arts and funding that actually reflect the demographics of San Francisco as well. The recent census has Asian American at 33% of the San Francisco population. The second highest growing was Latino, and then in and of itself, the African American population has been dwindling too.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
Well, let me tell you this. I think that we have to celebrate the diversity of San Francisco, but I don't want to follow, which I think is implied by your question. Okay, because look at it. African American population has gone from 11% to 4%. I wouldn't want only 4% of our artistic expression to be represented of African American art, because we only have 4% African American population.
But less than that is what the status quo is.
But we have to make sure that we are celebrating the full diversity of our city, not just in terms of what the numbers are now, but what we aspire to have in terms of diversity, and have what we have had historically. And I think that that is very, very important.
Scott.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you very much for coming out here. I know you have a genuine love and appreciation for the arts and feedback I've heard so far. Mid-Market is kind of after my heart. I've recently opened a gallery in the 6th Street Containment Zone. I've been tracking some of the policies, participating with the Mid-Market groups.
Yeah.
I can share that, say, for example, what happened with Twitter has already turned owners against several arts organizations, hoping they can get more money, for example, out of rents. What are real tangible policies, either out of the community benefit fees that will eventually maybe manifest out of that deal, or other actual, I've heard so many positive words, but no actual solutions to encourage and keep and enable these arts groups in that area.
I think that
I'm wondering what that might be.
the fact that we are having a conversation about bringing more people there and looking for things that enhance creativity is a good thing. And I think in order to come up with real policy initiatives and solutions, the way that we're going to do it is to work with the creative community. For me, I've been out there, out front, on talking about the need to create a Market Street creative corridor and to bring in the community, bring in the artistic community, and do what we can to encourage diversity in terms of people access, green space, pedestrian access, bicycle, free muni. I think you have to have transit options. I think you need to have planning regulations that encourage vibrancy and encourage getting small business owners to allow people to be out on the street. I think these are all things, ideas that are important, but the way that you are going to institutionalize them and make them work is to work with the stakeholders in the community to bring about something that accommodates everybody's needs.
Thank you for your time, sir.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you.